This is from a Grend. The WoW Classic team wanted to take a moment to dig into a few adjustments we plan to make next week, as well as share... Oh, I forgot. This guy never paid me. All right, here. One sec. Accept that. Okay, I've got it. And some details about Season and Discovery will handle endgame rating and our thought process behind this. XP buff and leveling. When we first concepted SOD, we knew we wanted all to be a major fixture of the experience, so we decided to add an XP buff, Discoverers to Light, into previous level bands. Yeah. This is great for existing characters that were not yet the current level cap. Yeah. But if you went into phase 2 with several characters, it can be a little daunting. We've been considering ways to help with this over the past days, and we've made adjustments to our existing plans. Starting next week on March 5th, the Discoverers to Light XP buff will be enabled on all realms, increasing XP gain from levels 1 to 39 by 100% up from 50. I have mixed feelings about that. We have always intended to increase Discoverers to Light to a 100% buff from 1 to 39 when phase 3 launches. This is merely moving this change forward from the start. Okay, so my big... I have mixed feelings about this. What I dislike about this is that the biggest part about World of Warcraft Classic and Season of Discovery is the leveling experience. In retail, you want to get to max level as quick as possible so that you can play the game. In Classic, you're playing the game as you're leveling, right? That's the fundamental difference between Classic and retail. In retail, you get to max level so you can play the game. In Classic, you're playing the game the whole time, right? So leveling slowly is part of the experience of Classic World of Warcraft. So by increasing the experience gain to rush people to 40, I just don't know if it's a good idea. Having said that, what I like about it is, you know, players can play more alts and that players can raid more and it respects the player's time and you can get more alts at 40 and then raid Nomergon before phase 3. But the reality is phase 3 doesn't launch for probably months. We have a lot of time to level, experience Nomergon, and to have fun playing the video game. I don't know. I think overall, I'm gonna say I don't like it. I honestly overall think that it's fine. Having said that, I think the majority of players will probably disagree with me. I think a lot of people will like if you're working 9 to 5, you're trying to you know, fit in leveling. This kind of just speeds up the process so you can get into the end game stuff. I think a lot of players will like it, but I think from a philosophical standpoint for Classic Era, Classic WoW, Classic SOD, the leveling should be a grand part of the experience, and rushing players through that is probably not a step in the right direction. Does that make sense, chat? Oh, yeah. At the end of the day, I actually don't think it's like people in the chat I think are over exaggerating that it's like this kills the game, SOD is over, GG. No, I don't think it's that make or break. I don't think it's that big of a deal. But I don't think it's a step in the right direction. I think it's like a small step in the wrong direction potentially, but I don't think it's like that big of a deal one way. I don't think it's like massive. It's not something I don't think I would have signed off on this though. Right? Anyway, let's keep reading. Alongside Discoverers to Light adjustments, we're going to be reducing the cost of normal mounts and mount training by roughly half. So everyone who bought their gold already is just the middle finger to everyone that already bought them out, and it makes it less exciting to actually play the game, make gold so you can buy them out. I don't know. I don't like this either. This is like speeding people up to 40, giving them their mounts. I don't like this. I don't like this. This is anti-classic to me. I'm not a big fan. We do not have changes planned for epic mounts at 60 at this time. Lastly, we'll be increasing the base gold reward from all quests while players are 1 to 39. Please note that this bonus gold will not be in effect at 40, meaning that this will not impact the XP to gold conversion for a quest completed at the current max level. This will help equalize things and make questing a bit more lucrative. So they're trying to get people to not spam Scarlet Monastery. They're trying to get people to not buy gold, I guess. But if you're making more gold and mounts cost less gold, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if that's like a good direction to go in, to be completely honest. Going forward, we're also looking at leveling adjustments for when phase 3 launches and the level cap raises to 50. We'd also like to continue to make mid-phase adjustments like this to help smooth over the leveling curve for alts a little bit, or help those leveling a bit slower to get that nudge over the finish line. We think alts are great and we want you to feel good about playing them, and we think this will help. Raid size at level 60. Okay. So far, before I get to this part, all of this, I would say is like, I'm not a fan, but I also want to be clear. I don't think it's that big of an L. I think it's like a little L. It's like, okay, fine. Some players are going to appreciate this and some players are going to think it's taking away from Classic. It's not something that I like, but like I kind of see why they're doing it. It's not that big of a deal. I want to underline. I don't think this is like GG no re, but it's not something that I really like. Okay, raid size at 60. Recently, a hot topic of debate is the raid size at level 60. What would I prefer? I think 25 mans could be like 40 is hard in 2024. Some of the raids at 10 have been nice, but it would be kind of cool to get, yeah, maybe 25. Let's see what they're gonna do. And we've been watching the commentary on this closely to help quell confusion. Here's a look at exactly what we plan to do in the next phases. The yet to be announced level 50 raid will be a 20 player experience. Okay, I like that. I think Molten Core will also be a 20 player experience. I kind of like that. I think I kind of like that. 20 players is kind of cool. It feels massive and gigantic, but at the same time, it's going to be easier to get 20 players together than 40, so it respects the time of the raid leader. I kind of like that. Yeah. Past that, we are still discussing exactly what raiding in the later tiers of SOD will look like in terms of raid size. I like the 20 player. Do you guys like 20? I think 20 is 20 is the perfect size. Yeah, I think 20 is a great size. You know what I mean? Like I think it's good. Yes, yeah, it seems like most people really like that. Okay, cool. Yeah. For a bit of a background, when we first concepted SOD, we felt like it was perfectly natural for a version of WoW to have 40 player raids. This is partially because the development time needed to scale them was not planned within the scope of what we set out to accomplish, but mostly because 40 player raids have felt like defining characteristics of original WoW and utterly unique to the version. It wasn't even in consideration to eschew them entirely. When we set out to create our level up raids, however, we did feel that asking people to yield 40 players would be a tall ask at 25. Yeah, I agree. So it's good. We wanted these first few raids to be somewhat easy to form up groups for as well. I like the 10 player raids, the 10 player experiences for leveling options. I think it's good. I think a 20 player leveling raid is actually not that good because it's hard to fill that a couple months down the road. Question for Twitch chat: how many of you are able to fill BFD groups every single week? Can you fill BFD still? Can you get 10 players and do a BFD run, or is that hard? Easily. Okay, cool. So that's good. I think at level 50, it would be cool if we could still run Nomergon. I don't want this to be forgotten content, right? I want people to get into this old stuff. And one of the ways to get people into old content is to make it accessible. And 10 players does that, right? To some degree. As we've played the game ourselves and watched our players approach community building, we've realized that we've set communities up to potentially struggle a bit by asking them to recruit from 1 or 2 10 player raid groups to a full 40. Should they choose to. As a result, we want to make it clear that our plans are to start bridging from 10 to higher raid sizes. I think that's fine. While overhauling all 40 player raids down to 20 would be theoretically possible, this may be prohibitively difficult and detract significantly from the other features and content we plan to implement in the post-60 season of Discovery. We're doing some investigation now to help us understand what would be needed within the framework of original WoW data can support in this regard. Okay. There are some features that can just not currently exist in original WoW as well, such as flex rating, so we're constrained in exactly what we're able to do here. Molten Core is definitely unique, that it's simple enough mechanically, yeah, it is, and under the hood that would be relatively easy to pare down to a 20 player experience. My big, like, question mark is how accurately are they going to be able to tune Molten Core to make it not too easy and not too hard. I will give Blizzard credit. I think Nomergon hit the mark. Nomergon is not too hard and not too easy in my opinion. I think it's like a really difficult experience, but it's not impossible, which is perfect. I think if they can hit that mark on other raids, that'd be awesome. I just see, it seems like a hard thing to do is what I'm trying to say. It seems like a hard thing to do to hit that mark and not go over or under. Itemization changed at 60. One thing we've also talked about, Yen, is our thoughts are on level 60 endgame rewards and very significant changes we have planned there. And that may keep a key piece of content missing to help illustrate our philosophy on different raid sizes in SOD. We currently plan to revamp many items from dungeons and raids, including the existing 20-player raids at level 60. Yeah, so part of the reason this is a necessity is because the gear from level 25 BFD is on par with some of the gear that drops from like Molten Core. So not only do you have to scale the Molten Core stuff up probably to make it exciting and valuable, but there's also, yeah, like new specs and new roles that you never had before. So like changing the loot to some degree or revamping some of the items like they did, you know, to Nomergon or whatever, actually I think does make a lot of sense. We currently have also made plans to make adjustments to the difficulty of raids, right? Yeah, as the power level of rewards available. This does not mean making raids harder or easier across the board relative to player power, but looking individually at each experience and defining what those experiences are about and what the purpose is. Theoretical example. A raid that have been traditionally been considered to be a catch-up raid as EG could see adjustments that bring their challenge level up slightly, but also greatly increase the quality and the diversity of the rewards. They feel the viable progression path, such as PWM. On the flip side, we always want to make sure that 40-player raids that exist remain approachable, and they also maintain that soda and pretzels feel of 2019 classic rating, where you could bring almost any group composition or experience levels and have success. So they're basically saying it's not like that hard. Okay. We think that adjusting the quality of the rewards to a more consistent level between raid sizes could help provide a larger menu of activities to do all that feeling rewarding, blah, blah, blah. Okay, ultimately we recognize that not knowing what's coming can be a cause for anxiety, so they want to have communication. I like that. We also recognize that we set up to create an audience we created here have grown and evolved in a short time since we announced SOD. It's difficult for players outside of the development process to understand what the true endgame for SOD is. That was being specific, but it is a bit too soon to share the nitty-gritty details on the 60 endgame. Some things are still in concept, and other things... I mean, I like the communication. I really do. I really appreciate it. Other things will change based on feedback. We want to arrive at a place where ideally if your guild wants to strictly do a smaller raid team, you can still do that, right? We want your feedback. In closing, what we'd like to hear from you is your feedback. All right, guys, what's your feedback on all of this? W's in the chat or L's in the chat for everything with the February 27th update. Ah, see mainly W's. Cool. Cool. I think, to me, the XP and leveling buff is maybe a slight L. I think the raid size at 60 is a massive W. I think the itemization at 60 is also a W. And the communication is a W. So I'd say, like, overall is a W. And to be honest, the L to me is still not that big of an L. Like, it doesn't affect me personally that much. I just think more, like, philosophically, it's maybe not where Classic Era and Classic SOD best cater to their audience. You know, endgame. It should be that the leveling experience should be really good to where you don't want to speed people through it, right? Cool. If I get my mount money refunded, it's a W. Yeah, it's kind of interesting, right? Players that already purchased their mount kind of get screwed a little bit.